one guy who's fired up about the playoff brackets, as he calls it, unwrapping the present. We're joined by the Texas High School Hall of Famer, our friend Craig Way. Mr. Way, happy holidays to you.
Yeah, it is. 'Tis the season, isn't it? And you're right. I don't think that I have ever been as happy to have an 11 a.m. kickoff for a Texas game as I am this week, knowing the game will be completed. Our post-game show will be done. I'll be back home ensconced in my living room and bracket up and watching you bracket away.
It's going to be fun. Yeah, you've got the 11 a.m. kick, so unfortunately you won't be able to join us on High School Scoreboard Live, I don't believe. Let's talk a little bit about this, the first, your day job there. Saturday morning, you guys, as the Texas Longhorns welcome in the Florida Gators. I am curious, coming off of last week and an open date and figuring things out, where with a Florida team that is wounded, do you get the sense that Texas is focused on this particular challenge as maybe, there have been better Florida teams in the past. Do you get the feeling that that they are focused on what's coming their way on Saturday morning?
I do, and by the way, you are correct. I won't be with you on Scoreboard Live, but it's because we have a basketball game at home tomorrow night, home opener for the Longhorn men's basketball team, which is why I won't be able to be in studio with you guys tomorrow night. But to your question, yes, and it's for a variety of reasons. First off, Texas is coming off a bye week, an open date, so obviously they're dialed in on the next opponent. They've also seen a Florida team that, while being 4-4, has played much better in the second half of this season as it's gotten underway. They took care of Kentucky. They beat Mississippi State. They lost in overtime at Tennessee. And then, they're in a 20-20 ball game with Georgia with 7 minutes to go in the game last week before Georgia pulled away. Now, yes, they have sustained some injuries, most notably at the quarterback spot. Graham Mertz first out with the knee injury, and then DJ Lagway, as we all know, you're Mr. Texas football from Willis, had a hamstring issue. Now, they were working him out yesterday, and they think there's a chance he might be able to play on Saturday. Now, the thing about the SEC, as you know, Tip, is they do the NFL-style injury report. So we'll know certainly by he may be listed as questionable going into Saturday, but they're trying to get him ready to go. And if they don't have him ready to go, the guy who came in and played for him played pretty well. He's a pretty interesting story. He's from Florida and went to Yale, played 1 year, wanted to come back to Florida as a walk-on, made the team as a walk-on, and then during a routine physical, they noticed the highlight video he sent them to get on the team showed him with a torn ACL doing all the things. So they got him fixed, and he doesn't blink. And so he'll be ready to go. Aiden Warner. It'll be interesting to watch him on Saturday if indeed he's the one who's playing quarterback.
The Craig Way, the Texas High School Hall of Famer, joins us every Thursday on Texas Football Today. All right, Craig, it's on to the high school football ranks, and as you, a phrase that we've more or less just kind of cribbed each other's phrases. You'll drop a Crazy Town banana pants every once in a while. Opening the present is what I've cribbed from you, and that is week 11, the Texas high school football season, is when we finally get a gander at the Texas high school football playoff brackets and what the rest of the season is going to look like. So when we crack open that present at Saturday night, what bracket are you most excited to really dive into and really start considering what the ramifications are?
Well, there's two. And by the way, something that'll not make you feel old, but will make me feel old, but I'll say it anyway. I've been using that phrase about unwrapping the playoff package since 1985. So, that's only to make people know that I've been a little more advanced in years, that sort of thing, since that happened. But how old were you in 1985? Were you even on the earth?
1985? I was a spark. I was a glimmer in my parents' eyes.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So there you go.
Sorry about
that. But to your question, I think the two brackets that I might be most intrigued by are 3A Division 1 and 5A Division 2. 4A D1 holds some intrigue for me as well, and 6A is 6A, but 2A D1 can be a lot of fun looking out at Region 1, but the 3A Division 1 is just chock full of the unknown, I believe, even though you have a defending state champion who looks fine as a defending state champion, but there are plenty of other contenders there, and that's why I think that thing is going to be fun to watch. There's same thing with 5AD2 because of what we talked about the prospect and possibility of a rematch of the state championship only happening in round 2, though, or at least in region 2 between South Oak Cliff and P&G. But there's other intriguing matchups there. In fact, both divisions of 5A could be a lot of fun. You were on my show the other day, and we talked about there's the possibility, the mathematical possibility of a bi-district matchup between Highland Park and Cedar Park. And that was one of the things that leaped off the page at me when the realignment came out. I thought, look at 7-5AD1 and 8-5AD1. Well, that's 7-5A was kind of far-flung, as we mentioned, where Highland Park was having new district opponents. But 8-5AD1 moving up into Region 2 for the Greater Austin and Super Centex region carried its own special interest, I would say.
I'm glad you brought that up because I think you and I, more or less, and about a handful of other people, many of whom work in this building, are the people that when realignment come out, we look at things differently, and not only do we look at the big picture, but also we get down to the nitty gritty and start looking at this is what bi-district matchups are going to be. This feels like a week where all of us in a united voice get to shout and say, see, we're not crazy. All these things we were thinking about back in February, they're finally important.
Yeah, I look at those things, and you and I talked about those things back in February. It's like, look at this. Did you see this? And I know it kind of raised our eyebrows. And sometimes it doesn't come into play. Sometimes it doesn't come into being. But other times it does, and it makes for real. And what we're talking about are the potential of certain playoff matchups between schools in divisions already set up. Obviously, we know in 6A it doesn't happen until the postseason. That said, and I know I'm in the minority in this, as long as 6A is the top classification, or even if there's a 7A, whatever the top classification is on down the road, I know I'm in the minority on this. I hope they never change it in terms of determining. You know why? Because we get things like going into the final week of the regular season with a game between Hutto and McNeil where win and you're in, but that's not enough. If Hutto wins, then you have a completely different structure and bi-district opponents for Westlake and Lake Travis in the bi-district round in Division 1. If McNeil wins, it happens in Division 2. So that's happening in different pockets across the state, and that can only happen in 6A, and that's why I like it.
Final question for Craig Way, the Texas High School Hall of Famer. It's the meanest thing we do to each other each week. And actually, I'm going to give you a gift, which is that I'm going to give you the same 3 games that you gave me last week on your show on Tuesday, the Craig Way Show on AM 1300 The Zone. You can teleport to Summer Creek North Shore, you can teleport to Winsboro and Malakoff, or you can teleport to Abbott and Aquila. Which of those 3 games are you heading to?
Yeah, it's they're all real good stories. I know you went with, and it makes all the sense in the world to go with Summer Creek North Shore, even though they're going their separate ways in the playoffs. It's kind of a tester game for Summer Creek to see, where they're ready to go, having already played Atascocita in that crazy game, or the Atascocita North Shore game being the crazy game that it was. So I can understand people leaning that way. Aquila Abbott is one of those prove it to me games for Aquila, and I think the same holds true for Winsboro. I think all of those are really good. I'm also curious about Highland Park and Midlothian to see how for real Midlothian is against Highland Park. But backed into a corner, I'm probably going to go with Summer Creek, North Shore.
Oh, okay. Not a bad choice on the board. You know, and all three of them are pretty good. He's Craig Way.
One other thing, Tep, I'll just say this too, and we've talked about this. For folks who don't know, there's a really cool thing going on there in Hill County, Ellis County, there with Aquila, Abbott, and Avalon, and they're all 1A 6-man Division I, and they are combined 27-0 right now. And Avalon is a really good story, and they're in a different district as Abbott and Aquila play for a district title, and all of that stuff sorts it out over time. But it's a really cool story to see that little pocket there in a 2-county area means what it means right now.
Well, and especially, not to belabor the point, but especially with 6-man football, for those who don't know, that is a West Texas thing. Like, West Texas has long dominated. For it to be on I-35 is a real remarkable kind of geographical turnabout.
Yes, that's the thing that I think is so crazy and fun, and like that. We're used to seeing that out, past the big country region to the basin, and seeing the Westbrooks and some of the other ones like that, and even up in the Panhandle, it was like that way for a while, and the Microplex out there around Gordon. We're used to seeing those things. We're not used to seeing that on the I-35 corridor, or if you're going, from Waxahachie, you take Farm to Market 55 to go down to Avalon. But it's just we're not used to seeing that in the area, and that's what I think is what makes it extra special this year.
He's Craig Way. He's the Texas High School Football Hall of Famer. You can hear him on the Craig Way Show, AM 1300 The Zone, every day, and then you can hear him call Texas Longhorns basketball tomorrow night, and then hear him call Texas football on Saturday morning. He'll have a little Austin doubleheader there, and he will be with us every Thursday throughout the course of the season. Craig, appreciate your time, my friend, and we will talk to you on Scoreboard via the miracle of technology on Friday.
I will zoom it on in, and yes, I will be glued to the laptop when you have bracket reveal.
Thanks a lot, Craig.
Bye, Craig.
There he goes. Craig Way, the Texas High School Hall of Famer. He dropped this is a good re-up of the best idea we've ever had here, Dave Campbell's Texas football.
Having Craig on the show?
Well, yes, that too, but more importantly about Craig is because of his ability to identify and know just every road in the state of Texas.
Correct.
Craig Ways. Craig Ways.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is $1 billion idea.
That is really good.
I would pay a significant sum of money
to have Craig tell me where to go,
where to turn, and then also be like, and if you look to your left, you'll see the stadium for the San Sama Armadillos. Of course, they play on a graveyard.
Yeah.
That'd be great. I would pay
sick.
a significant sum of money for that. Anyway, thanks, Craig.